everybody. So I just got out of seeing The Watchers. It is I wouldn't say monumental film. It is the first movie. Let me pull it up to say the exact name. I'm probably gonna. No, it's pretty simple. It is M. Night Shyamalan's daughter's first movie, and her name is Ishana Night Shyamalan. So, The Watchers is based on a book. I apologize, I don't have that information in front of me, just quick reference notes. But The Watchers is essentially I would definitely classify it as a folk horror, um, type of horror genre. It kinda bends it a little bit, but it is a folk horror movie about being in a forest with these creatures that like to watch these people. I know that sounds so exciting, right? That's kinda what I thought. I think a trailer rolled, at one point through a movie, and I maybe caught the last bit of it, or, on social media, there may have been one of those quick, like, 5-10-second ads or YouTube pre-rolls, but it got my attention for I'm on a quest to compile a top 5 worst movies, just like we did last year, the top 5 best movies in 4Ks. I'm on a quest for the end of this year to have a 5 worst. I have 3 so far. So I saw this and I was like, damn it, this is gonna be 4th." And I'm happy to say I was wrong. The reviews were coming in, earlier today as I was recording this, or before I was recording this, and the reviews were not looking good. And I got more excited. I was like, "Yes, something else to get on that list." I don't hope things are bad. I always root for everything, especially in the state of the box office, like we had talked about in the most recent podcast. I always root for everything to do well. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and give you my thoughts on what I gave a pretty generic synopsis for. So you have 4 characters that are pretty much, it's not really a cabin, but we'll reference it as a cabin in the woods, that are stuck in this cabin in the woods where essentially they are theatrical puppets for these mythical creatures. And they have 3 rules that they have to abide by, and they're essentially stuck. And a lot of time starts going by because you have these points of no return. Because since they're bipedal and on foot, and that they can only walk to certain areas, they don't know how to get past it. So they have these signages where it's like the point of no return number 148, in almost in every direction, letting you know, like, hey, if you go past this, once you're out past dark, you're pretty much fair game for these people. And that's kind of that's pretty much the first, I'd say, 25 minutes. So I want to keep this one as spoiler free as possible. To essentially wrap up how I feel, like wrap it up in a nice little present. I actually was surprised by how much I liked this. Yes, it was very generic. It was very PG-13 horror, but I think it did well, and it had that Shyamalan shot and cinematography that we're kinda used to, which is cool that got, that artistic style and choices being passed down to, Mr. Shyamalan's daughter. And I really I could see this being a bad movie for some people. There's just something that worked. It wasn't great. It wasn't unique. It had a unique premise that I think could have pushed a little bit further, and it definitely had some corny dialogue as well. So it definitely isn't pushing boundaries or gonna make a top 5 list or anything. I just tend to like this movie a lot more than everything else I'm reading. I've only seen one other letterbox review from people that I follow that gave it a positive review. And I think I still ended up rating it lower than what I'm gonna end up rating it today. But I had a lot of fun. The performances here, let me pull up her name. Dakota Fanning, Georgina Campbell, Owen Foray, and Siobhan Hewlett. Or no, that's totally wrong. That's her mother. That's essentially 3 of the cast, and then Daniel Oliver Finnegan. Those are the 4 main people that you follow throughout the entire time, and they're cool, they're unique, they don't have too much personality, but you have a lot going on in this world that's kinda like, you aren't necessarily gonna get invested in these characters because you're invested in what's going on outside of these characters, and if you've even seen the trailer, you probably already know what I'm talking about whenever I say that. Hopefully, that makes sense, but that's essentially how I'm kind of feeling about it. Now, the one thing I will say, just to kind of go into this, I personally predicted the ending. I'd say roughly about 25, 30 minutes in, no more than 30 minutes. But I still wouldn't call the ending or the twist predictable as much as I would maybe say it's generic. It's like, okay. You know what I mean? But it wasn't bad. I think it was the performances, and I really got invested into this world. And again, I may be giving it higher praise than what's necessary because I've really, since I got a hold of The Witch back in 2016, folk horror has become one of my favorite subgenres of horror. And when we get something, I try to appreciate it because it's a one and underdone genre, and it's really hard to do, and it's very easy to absolutely mess up. And I think that they actually gave it some soul and some passion in this one. So I want to give it a thumbs up in this regard. It had a lot going for it. I really do think that if it had been just a little bit raunchier, I haven't read the book. I don't know anything about the book. I just went in. I thought the poster looked freaking sick for this movie. And again, the trailer did not do it for me. And I figured it was going to be another movie to put on the five worst movies I've seen this year. But no, it's not even close. So to kind of wrap it up in a nice bundle of joy, I will give this movie a 6.5. I could probably even on rewatch give it a 7. If it comes out in 4K, I'll for sure purchase it because it's something I want to digest a little bit more. Because I think there might have been some things, maybe some things in the background. When you have a nice OLED at home, there's some parts like there's an early part with a very dark scene with Dakota Fanning, and it just the way that it zooms in, I couldn't see what it was trying to show me because of the theater. This wasn't showing in Dolby. So I wasn't getting that true black. I was just getting gray, less washed out gray with a few white dots on the screen. I couldn't see what they wanted me to see. So I'm definitely gonna pick this up in 4K, and I think it might even bump up a few notches. The soundtrack was really good. The cinematography was really nice. The setting was really, really good. I really liked a lot of it, and I thought it was really cool. And I think if they had just, I guess I'll go ahead and give. It's not really spoilers. It's just you may consider the spoilers. So I'll give a three, two, one possible spoilers right now. I only seen a portion of the trailer, so I don't know if this is necessarily a spoiler, but essentially the whole main setup is, Dakota Fanning's character, I believe it's Mina. Sorry, I always have to take notes because I'm horrible with fictional names. Um so essentially they're in this cabin in the woods. It's not a cabin, it's a house essentially. But it's in the woods and then it's blocked off everywhere than a giant glass window. And the watchers watch these people. They study them. And there's a very pivotal reason for it. And they're essentially like on display for them to a degree. I really, really wish it had leaned into that just a little bit more. I do think the movie was pretty finely paced. There's probably nothing I'd really cut out, maybe a minute, shaving 3 seconds off this, that totals a couple minutes by the end of the runtime. That would probably be the only thing I'd probably say, but that again, I always rate things for what they did, not what I want them to do. I just think that this movie would probably been up there, maybe amongst some of the better horror movies I've seen this year, especially being PG-13 because I'm a known displeaser of PG and PG-13 horror. There's a lot of good ones out there, but man, when they're bad, they're bad. Three of the bad movies I've seen this year that are the three worst that you'll get a list for at the end of this year, and I've already name dropped them before, are PG-13 horror movies. So like they just you really got to know how to do it well. There's a jump scare in this movie, and I immediately knock points off for anything with a shitty jump scare. And there is one in here, but there's only one, and it didn't get me. It's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why? Like, it's not like this movie is much more of a I wanna be thrilled. I'm not necessarily gonna be terrified of this movie. It's kinda like a Arcadian, a movie that I saw. That movie didn't really have any jump scares or anything like that. It had a lot of tension. It knew what it was going for. It wasn't trying to terrify you. It was trying to make you feel tense with the atmosphere. And I think this movie did a really good job of that because you're rooting for their survival. You don't know how they're gonna get out of this situation. You're curious, "Okay, well, what's this? I want more lore. I want this." At least me personally, right? So that's ideally what I'd give it. Again, a 6.5. And I don't even know if I'd bump it up to a 7 without that jump scare. I think that jump scare took away like 0.25 points. But again, most things with a jump scare, if it can be done well, but when it's shitty, points off. It just immediately points off. So without further ado, again, a 6.5 out of 10. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and maybe for people tuning in on this video that got this far, let me know what's the worst horror movie that you've seen. Maybe there's one that I haven't watched if you've been an avid follower. Maybe there's one I need to check out or just the worst movie. Of course, it's gotta be like it can't be knowingly bad, like, I'm not gonna go check out some YouTube fan film. I mean, if you've got a cool YouTube fan film, please drop it down below. I'm always for supporting other people, throwing up a like and comment or even a subscription here and there. but a theatrical release that was just bad. Throw it my way, let me check it out because I have a list I got to make by the end of this year, and we're halfway through. And I've only got three stinkers, and I need a list of 10 to whittle down to five. So, again, appreciate every single one of you guys for your continuous support. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know if there's anything that you guys want to see us do. Until next time, everybody, see you later.